Gnana Vijnana Truptatma Kutastho Vijitendriyaha Yukta iti uchyate yogi samaloshrasmakanchanaha. So here Krishna talks about a person who is realized. In the previous verse we had seen, the last few verses had been discussion about yoga rudha stage. Yoga rudha means one who has become advanced in yoga practice. Paramatma samahitaha sitoshna sukha dukkheshu tadha manapamanayoho. One who has established connection with Krishna, a dhyana yogi meditating on Paramatma within the heart. He becomes transcendental to all these dualities of heat and cold, happiness, distress, honor and dishonor. And in this verse, why he can conquer all of that is explained. Because he is Truptatma, he is satisfied with Gnana Vignana. Gnana Vignana Truptatma, Kutastha, he remains very steady in that Trupti, Kutastaha, spiritually situated, and he can easily control his senses. Vijitendriyaha. The senses cannot agitate him because he is already satisfied. He does not need any other lower satisfaction through senses. So that person is called Yukta iti uchyate, yogi. That yogi is called Yuktaha. He is a proper, competent, self-realized soul. And Samalostrasmakanchanaha, for him, either lostra means pebbles on the street, ashma means stone, kanchana means gold. For such a self-satisfied yogi, whatever he sees, whether it is pebbles or stones or gold, are the same. So Prabhupada translates this as, a person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. So Gnana Vijnana Trupta Atma. So this Gnana, what is this knowledge? Prabhupada clarifies that this is not book knowledge, because book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. Does it mean that we should not read books? Particularly Bhagavad Gita we are reading, other Srila Prabhupada's books we are reading, many books Prabhupada had given. No. Independent book reading without surrendering to a spiritual master, that is condemned. Trying to figure out the supreme truth by mental speculation, that is condemned. That is called gnana speculation. You're speculating on gnana without surrendering to an authority. Then I'll come to one conclusion. The same Vedic statement you read without guidance of a spiritual master, I'll come to one conclusion, and another person will come to another conclusion, and a third person will come to another conclusion. That is why they are called munis. Muni means one who does mental speculation with man. Nasau munir yasya matam na bhinnam, it is said. One muni has to differ from another muni because that's the definition of muni. Na asau munihi, he is not called a muni. Yasya matam na bhinnam, who does not differ from other munis. So he has to use his mind and give a different meaning. I had one colleague earlier. several years ago. I used to have books displayed in my office cubicle. So one time he came and he said, "Can I borrow this book?" So he said he took this Isopanishad, and then after a few days he came back and gave the book and said, "Oh, don't read this book, man." I said, "Why?" "No, you are reading this interpretation of this person, Srila Prabhupada. The actual meaning is different." So the verse is said, Tadejati tannaijati taddure tadvantike. The actual meaning is the Supreme Lord walks, he also does not walk. He is very far and he is near also. He is in your heart and he is outside your heart. So he says, no, actually he's saying it is the Supreme Lord, but actually it means atom. Tat means atom. The atom is there outside, the atom is there inside. The atom walks, the atom does not walk. Like that, he is giving interpretation. So he does not want us to accept Srila Prabhupada's version, which is in line with the Vedic version coming from disciplic succession all the way from Krishna. Whatever Krishna says comes through Srila Prabhupada. So he does not want us to accept Srila Prabhupada, but wants us to accept his version. See? This is called mental speculation, gnana, without submission to authority. They don't want to accept the authority's version, but they want to accept your version. There is another conversation with Prabhupada, with one disciple, where the disciple is saying about one uh, commentator. He is quoting Bhagavad Gita inside and out, but he doesn't believe in Krishna. He comes to the when it comes to the words Sarva Dharman Parityajya, you surrender everything to Krishna. This commentator says, well, actually, this Bhagavad Gita is written by some man, unknown man. So then, what is the value of it? If some unknown man in the street writes something, why do you quote it? Why are you quoting Bhagavad Gita? Why are you learning it? You are learning it because it is knowledge, but you are saying it is written by some unknown man, mundane man. Why do you accept? What is the use of quoting it? They will not do that because they can make money by quoting Bhagavad Gita because they are not themselves famous. They need Bhagavad Gita for them to become famous, but they don't want to accept Krishna. And then when we say a devotee goes to Vaikuntha, he says, oh, Vaikuntha, all these kind of things are just mythology. There is nothing like Vaikuntha. So Prabhupada said, so that means you are posing as an authority. You are rascal. You are posing as authority. What Krishna says is not authority. What scripture says is not authority. That means you don't want people to accept the scripture authority. You want yourself to be authority. See? If everything is myth, as per what these people say, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, then why you are truth? You are also Mithya, no? If everything is Mithya, then why you are truth? You are also myth. What is the use of talking nonsense like this? So this is called Gnana, useless Gnana. But what we study in Prabhupada's books is not Gnana. It is Vijnana, realized knowledge coming from Krishna. Prabhupada gives us knowledge not based on his what he thinks. It's coming from disciplic succession. So when we read those books, it is proper conclusion we are reading. So Prabhupada further explains in the purport, book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. This is stated as follows. Atah Sri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyaihi sevonmukhehi jihvadav swayameva spuratyadaha. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord, or the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. Padma Purana. So one cannot speculate and understand the supreme absolute truth. It has to be revealed. Who will that knowledge be revealed? When one does devotional service. When Krishna is pleased. Spurati means becomes revealed, manifest. When Krishna opens that bottle which is locked up, we can access it when Krishna opens it. So Bhagavad Gita is the science of Krishna consciousness. No one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. So this gnana that Krishna refers to is not mundane gnana. That is why Vignana word is used. Vignana Truptatma. Gnana Vignana Truptatma. A Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. That means true realization in Krishna consciousness means being satisfied with pure devotional service. If we are not, then we have not become realized. This is a sign we can test today. If we are not satisfied, completely satisfied, yayatma suprasidati means fully satisfied, peaceful, happy. If we are not satisfied with pure devotional service, that means we have not yet become realized. Vijnana Truptatma means we have to be satisfied and in pure devotional service. And then Prabhupada wrote one letter to one disciple what exactly this satisfaction means. So he wrote, I'm glad to learn that you have decided to live in Sydney. Sydney is your jurisdiction. So you cannot leave this place unless there is a very urgent engagement in another place. You have got to organize this center very nicely. Please, therefore, do everything with enthusiasm. That will satisfy me and Krishna also, and as a result of which you will be satisfied transcendentally. This is our position. So, when you satisfy Krishna and the spiritual master, then you will become satisfied. People in general, they are all agitated. Why they are not satisfied? Because they are greedy, they are in mode of passion, they want more and more. Prabhupada wrote one letter, not letter, it's a poem, we know, when he arrived in America on the Boston pier. He wrote this letter, a poem, the poetry based on the Shastra. So he said, Rajastamo gune era sabai achanna, Vasudeva katha ruchi nahi se prasanna. What it means is, most of the people here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Rajastama gune era sabai achanna. Achanna means covered. all the people. And absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied. Therefore, they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. So I do not know how they'll be able to understand it. Because as long as they are influenced by Rajoguna, Tamoguna, they cannot take to God consciousness. They cannot take to Krishna consciousness. But if you are Vaishnava, or if you are given this knowledge by a pure Vaishnava, then you can become Vaishnava. Prabhupada told one story about continuing that poem Prabhupada told in one lecture. So many swamis and yogis, they came in this country. So they advertised in India that they went out of India for preaching Vedanta. But being influenced, what Vedanta they learned, they returned to India. They have learned how to entice women and how to eat meat. This is their Vedanta. Because Karanam Guna Sangosya, you come to America and you are associating with those who are in modes of passion and ignorance, and then you get influenced and you go back and do all nonsense. If you are actually a Vaishnava, a realized person, then even if you go to any contaminated place, then you will not be influenced. You will remain Vaishnava. He gave an example of typhoid Mary. So there was an epidemic, typhoid, and many people were suffering. But this Mary, she was not suffering. And people used to wonder, she used to go and associate with everybody who has got typhoid. And she was not suffering the typhoid. And people were wondering. And then there was an analysis of the blood done on her. Why? What is special about her? And then when they did the analysis of the blood, and that blood was full of typhoid germs. But she was so strong that she could resist. She was not suffering. But wherever she used to go, everyone was infected with typhoid. So, Prabhupada gave that example to explain that if you are strong, then the lower qualities will not affect you. And if you are not strong, if you are weak, then where you are going to convert, wherever you go, you will become converted. You'll become victimized. So, but if one is in proper Krishna consciousness, satisfied in every circumstance, triptatma with Krishna, purely in sattva guna, shuddha sattva, then that association, he will not become influenced. Rather, that association will be caught on by others. So this is the power of pure devotee, who is always Vijnana Triptatma, is always satisfied in himself because he is satisfied in devotional service. He does not need external things to satisfy him. So, Kutastha. Gnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutastaha means by such realization provided by Krishna, one becomes perfect. He becomes steady in his convictions. But by mere academic knowledge, one can be easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. So, academic knowledge, it is apparent contradictions. It keeps changing. Today they discover one planet, tomorrow they say, oh, it's not a planet, or it is a planet. One theory comes, tomorrow trumps another theory. Another theory trumps this theory. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to be a scholar in Nyaya philosophy. Nyaya means logic. And so he would easily defeat somebody with logic, any argument. And then they would surrender to him, they would accept his logic. And then, to fool them, he would bring up another logic to defeat the same logic that he used to defeat them. And they would become bewildered. Oh my God, what is this? So, like that, this tarka is apratishta. A superior logician can come and defeat you. Superior knowledgeable person can come and disprove your proposition. Because academic knowledge is like that. The platform is temporary and fleeting. But spiritual knowledge is not like that. The mundane textbooks can go obsolete. The knowledge in that can go obsolete. Whatever statements they made today about so many things, the theory of evolution, or how this universe is formed, how there are these minute particles within the atom. So over the years, all of this knowledge has become obsolete or will become obsolete because it is based on our mental speculation, not proper understanding of scriptures. So that's what Prabhupada says. By mere academic knowledge, one can be easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. Kutastha. This is called Kutastha. Means one is steady in his convictions. And Vijitendriyaha. It is the realized soul who is actually self-realized because he is surrendered to Krishna. He is the real Vijitendriya, means he can conquer the senses because he is always happy with engaging in Krishna consciousness. He does not need external engagement. That is why he is Vijitendriya. So if one is surrendered to Krishna, they can be self-controlled because of the happiness he gets from within. So for him, samalostrasma kanchanaha. Yukta iti uchyate lo yogi samalostrasma kanchanaha. So this gnana or mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be as good as gold to others, are of no greater value than pebbles or stones. It's a very poetic way Prabhupada explains. People may consider their knowledge to be gold. People go to all these famous universities to gain knowledge. But for a transcendentalist, he is transcendental because he has got nothing to do with mundane scholarship. For him, this mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be as good as gold to others, are of no value than pebbles or stones. Just like pebbles or stones on the street, you don't value it anymore because it's not valuable. So one may consider their knowledge, mundane knowledge, to be valuable, but Prabhupada says realized person doesn't consider them valuable. There was one reporter who came to Prabhupada and he asked in New York, Swamiji, how old were you when you realized God? So Prabhupada didn't want to glorify himself, but to glorify his spiritual master and Krishna. He said, God is a person like you and me. The difference is that he is our leader. We have to follow him. He's basically paraphrasing that verse. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam. So, what is the difference between that one and the many? He is the one and we are the many. He maintains all these many. He maintains us. He is also a person like you and me. And the reporter persisted. Yes, I appreciate your answer, but at what age did you realize the highest truth? At what physical age? And Prabhupada, he wanted to establish a point, so he continued to explain. So he said, there is no question of age. Realization of God should be from the very beginning of life. And the reporter said, I understand, Swamiji. My question to you was, at what age did you realize yourself the highest truth? And Prabhupada said, of course, we were born in a very nice family. Practically from the very beginning of our lives, my father educated us in this way. And the reporter wouldn't give up. I understand that. I mean, at what time did you have your own personal realization, Swamiji? At what age? Prabhupada said, from the age of 4 or 5 years. In the Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada wrote about some of his childhood pastimes, and he wrote about Maharaj Parikshit and others who also had symptoms of being God conscious children. So Srila Prabhupada has always been God conscious. He came into this world God conscious. He left this world God conscious. Now he is continuing to give God consciousness, Krishna consciousness to others on this planet and as well as wherever he goes. So this is the category of the person that is being referred to here. Gnana Vijnana Truptatma is ever satisfied because he is truly getting that bliss from Krishna. He does not need sensual dependence. That is why he is Vijitendriyaha. Samalostasma Kanchana. For him, any mundane possession, including mundane knowledge, which may be like gold for others, is as good as pebbles or stone. We'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.